Thank you for tuning in to the Skol State of Mind podcast. As you already know, I'm your host, D Woods. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can always be notified when my channel goes live and when I drop another video. And by doing all those things, it's going to help push my channel and get this channel a whole lot bigger than what it is. And if you did it already, I really appreciate it. But let's get into this video. My initial thoughts. The Minnesota Vikings have just defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. If y'all been following me, watching my videos and following me on social media, I've been saying this over and over again. The Vikings have the perfect opportunity right now, the way the schedule presents itself, to stack up wins and basically be playing for something at the end of the season. Now, looking at the schedule, you got the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans, the Chicago Bears. I mean, these are like underperforming teams. And going into this game, I basically said, I want the Minnesota Vikings to go into this game and win basically by maybe 2 touchdowns and basically show the NFL that you belong in the higher echelon teams. You belong with the Kansas Cities. You belong with the Detroit Lions. You belong with the San Francisco 49ers. But that wasn't the case today. This is what I will call one of these ugly wins. Now, I've been watching football for a long time, and I know these ugly wins, they come, at the craziest moments. And in all honesty, I would always take an ugly win over a pretty loss any day. But there are a lot of areas of concern. So let's dive into these areas of concern. Foremost, Sam Darnold. I mean, you've been following me. I'm real big on Sam Darnold. I'm not saying he's the top quarterback in the league. I'm not saying he's top 10 or whatever, but I believe in Sam Darnold is capable of making this offense look good. He's a capable, starting quarterback in this league. But today, the shit that he pulled today with the 3 interceptions in the red zone, you can't do that. I just feel like today was one of these days where the conversation comes up to where it's like, do we put in Nick Mullins? And we should never have that conversation, with the starting quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't have a game to where, the offense, yards wise looks good on paper, but they can't get in the end zone. I mean, the final score of this game was basically 12-7, right? No touchdowns. And reasoning for no touchdowns is every time we got in the end zone, Sam Darnold turned the ball over. I mean, it's a concern for me because, like, if you just take it back and you look back and you dissect those 3 interceptions, like, they were all in Justin Jefferson's area. Now, I know as Vikings fans, we don't necessarily like to talk about this, but we had a guy here last season for the past 6 years that basically wouldn't take the risk of throwing to the star receiver in double coverage. He will basically check it down. And it's kind of crazy to where it's like, we got the complete opposite right now. Like, Sam Darnold is not going to check it down. He's going to keep trying to drive the ball down the field. That's good. But when you do that, that's when you create a lot of these interceptions. And I just really feel like Kevin O'Connell, like, you have to figure something out, as, the offensive guy and your offensive coordinators and your whole offensive staff to kind of, quiet the mind. That's what Kevin O'Connell always says, quiet the mind, like quiet the mind of Sam Darnold and basically get him back on track, because we can't have this type of game against the top echelon teams. Because if you turn the ball over 3 times in the red zone against, the top-notch teams, they're going to bust your ass. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I mean, I just gotta call it for what it is. I mean, I've been having my own, concerns about the defense, but this is a big area of concern because it seems like Sam Darnold has starting to put together consecutive quote unquote bad games, right? I need him to go in next week, no interceptions, play a goddamn clean game and get it back on track. Because as of right now, like I'm not saying that the wheels are falling off and everything's unraveling, but I just feel like, he's pressing and he's basically just like he's not playing in that same confidence that he was playing with before in the first, 5 weeks of the season when we were basically 5-0. But that's a big area of concern for me. Now, let's keep it moving. Outside of Sam Darnold, let's talk about the defensive dominance, right? So just piggyback from what I said from earlier, I have my own, you know, um, concerns about the defense. We're not going to really get into that right now because I have to, give credit where credit is due. The defense and the special teams combined won this game today, right? Like, I'm going to just say off the bat, like, the defense played a hell of a game today. They basically held Mac Jones to 111 yards, 3 interceptions, and that basically got I'm not sure who that fumble was accredited to, but they got a fumble too. And basically with those 3 turnovers were at the end of the game. And I think there was like all 3 consecutive drives when the Jaguars basically had the option to go down the field and try to win this game with a touchdown and 14-12. But the defense stepped up, took the ball away, put the clamps down on this team, and we won the game. And I'm not saying like, this team is one of these high flying, passing attacks or rushing attacks or whatever. They did play their backup quarterback today, and it showed. Mac Jones is not a starting quarterback in this league anymore. I mean, he might get a chance, to be a starting quarterback somewhere else, but as of right now, he's a backup. But like I said before, I am going to give credit where credit is due. The defense played a hell of a game today, and I have to give my hats off to him. And just that's for the defense. Now, let's get back to the offensive struggles because like I don't want to just over gloss on the situation to where like the offense was just a well-oiled machine. Now, looking back at this game, hours ago after the game was all it's like, you can look at the box score and you can be like, well, TJ had a good game. Justin Jefferson, he had an okay game, whatever. But like when I'm saying the offensive struggles is I want this offense to flow a little bit more efficiently. Like you have the talent on the offensive side of the ball to where I feel you should be able to dominate. But the play calling, I feel sometimes holds this team back and it kind of ruins drives. And when I say like ruins drives, it's like I feel the game could have been over later in the fourth quarter, maybe like before the 2-minute warning or whatever. Like the Vikings are basically driving and they're running the ball. Aaron Jones wasn't in the game at the time because basically he was, a little dinged up, and Cam Akers is basically running. And you get to a 3rd-and-1, and Kevin O'Connell basically calls a, drop back pass, and Sam Darnold gets sacked. And then now we're out of field goal range. At that point, I'm just saying, like, bro, it's 3rd-and-1. Your running backs are basically getting like 3 to 5 yards a carry all game. Play into that, get that first down, keep the clock going. The game's basically over. And that's the same scenario that I take back to where, when the Minnesota Vikings lost against the Detroit Lions, where they couldn't get a first down. Luckily, they played against a lesser team and the defense stepped up and they got the ball back and finished the game out. But those are those situational things that I have a problem with Kevin O'Connell, because it's like, bro, like, why are you running the ball? Why are you not running the ball? Excuse me. Why are you not running the ball at that situation? It's 3rd-and-1. And the offense, it can't struggle. You can't force the ball, Justin Jefferson. Like, you see TJ coming back, and TJ made a hell of a difference on this team on the intermediate routes, and especially like on third downs. Like TJ was basically, catching everything that was thrown his way. But it's like, come on, man, you have to do a whole lot better. And I just feel like that kind of thing like falls on, Kevin O'Connell and his offensive staff. And to talk about the offensive staff, again, we have to bring this up again. Penalties and discipline. Now, the penalties and the procedural penalty, the procedural things like, before the ball is hiked, it has gotten better in these weeks, but it still is a problem. We're still getting called for, false starts, and we're still getting called, for these dumbass penalties, that's killing drives. And I just feel like Kevin O'Connell, at the end of the day, you basically stated that you're going to, dumb down the offense a little bit, make it a little bit, conducive for the players and not have so many shifts and stuff like that. But I just feel like sometimes Kevin O'Connell can be his own worst enemy, to where he can be this offensive guru, and it looks good when it's working. But when you're getting penalties and your quarterback's throwing picks in the red zone, and all these other things are happening, like it starts to like pile up and feel like, hey, it's too much. Just simplify the offense. Simplify the offense at certain points of the game, and basically, this offense can be a well-oiled machine. Like, you call the reverse at the wrong time of the game, and it's like -8 yards for no damn reason. Like, that's discipline on the coaching staff, and I just feel like y'all got to do a whole lot better. But one of the highlights of today that I would love to talk about right now is the special teams. Special team highlights, in my opinion. Look at the score, 12-7. We scored no offensive touchdowns, no defensive touchdowns. All our points were scored by the field goal team and special teams unit. Now, that's something that I have to highlight today, because going into this game, we just got a kicker off the streets. John Parker Romo didn't have a job last week, and he basically came in here this week, well, I would say like Tuesday, and basically had to kick, 4 field goals to win this game, and he basically did it. And I give credit where credit is due. And you have to always talk about the fact too that, the Vikings are missing their long snapper too. Starting long snapper and kicker are going to be out on 4 weeks injured reserve as of right now, right? It could be 5 weeks. You never know, because you have to get that window for them to come back or whatever. But I have to highlight the special teams for coming in, getting the job done, scoring all the points we have today. That's just professionalism right now. That's just how I feel about it. Now, let's talk about the overreaction real quick. Now, my overreaction for this week would be on offense. And one of the things I want to highlight for my overreaction is this. Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison only had 2 catches for 25 yards, right, on 5 targets. Let's not overreact on that. And the reason why I'm saying let's not overreact on that, because at the end of the day, we knew once TJ Hawkinson came back to this team and was healthy, he is going to be the second read. He's the second, receiver basically on this team. He's receiver 2. Let's just call it for what it is. And that's not nothing against Addison, but I just feel like Kevin O'Connell has to draw up an offense that can get everybody involved. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Josh Oliver. I'm kind of getting what's happening there is basically like, teams know TJ is back and he's healthy, and they want to kind of take that away, and then they have to take out Justin Jefferson or whatever. And I feel like they don't really necessarily respect Josh Oliver as a pass catching tight end, and he's been making plays. Josh Oliver basically had 4 catches for 52 yards on 6 targets. That's good. But back to my overreaction, let's not overreact on Jordan Addison. There's going to be games there where TJ might have a bad game, Jefferson might have a bad game, Addison might have a bad game. And it might be a game where all 3 of them have great games. We just have to accept it for what it is. It's not enough balls to go around, but this offense should be way more complete than what they were. Now, one thing too, since we're talking about, the skilled players right now, I do have to give a shout out to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones basically had 17 carries for 88 yards with, again, 5 yards per carry, right? Now, Cam Akers came in here again and basically solidified him as a number 2 running back on this team. Now, that basically goes into my, player performance situation, but I just got to give credit is where credit is due. I like what I'm seeing from the running game. I just really feel that Kevin O'Connell, especially at the end of the game, when you're trying to bleed the clock, stay with that. Let these guys run the ball, spell each other, like stop trying to pass the ball and trying to outsmart the opposing defense all the damn time, because all you're doing sometimes is making yourself look stupid, because we could have lost this game at that 3-1. So that's basically, my initial reactions to this game. Like, there's really not too much, I can pretty much go over with these games. Like, I'm just going to keep saying it again. Like, I just really feel like the way the schedule has presented itself, the Minnesota Vikings really have, the opportunity to go in here and stack these wins. I mean, a win is a win. I was more disappointed last week, considering the whole situation with the whole, being off 10 days or whatever and stuff like that. But, right now I'm a little bit more chill about the situation. They won the game 12-7. These games are going to happen. These defensive games are going to happen, but you have to put it in the back of your head that you cannot perform like this against the top echelon teams. You can't go into the red zone and have 3 turnovers and expect the team to, get those back at the end of the game. So there's some things the Vikings have to work on. We're going to talk about this throughout the week, but that's all I can say. And you guys already know how I end the video. Skol, baby.